let's discuss the materials that we'll be using for today's apron project. I like to make my egg gathering aprons with I Love This Cotton yarn from Hobby Lobby. Today's apron will be completed in this beautiful red, black, and white. Let's set those aside and see what else we're going to need for today's project. You're going to need a pair of scissors, obviously, a size G crochet hook. You're going to need a yarn needle. I'm sorry, I know it's a no-sew project, but you do have to sew in the ends. So get yourself a nice needle and then get yourself some stitch markers. You don't really truly need them for this pattern, but I'm going to use them to help you just in case you need them. So I've got a selection here that's going to show up good on my colors. I'll set these aside and let's get started. We're going to start with creating our skull. We're going to be completing our skull in our white and black. Rounds 1 and 2 will be in white, and rounds 3 and 4 will be in black. That's for our finished product. However, if you crochet, you know just what a nightmare it is to actually work with black yarn. So for the tutorial today, I'm going to be using brown and cream just so you can see the stitches better and see the process. But I promise this is going to be beautiful. But the brown and cream is lovely as well. So I'm going to set this aside and get my yarn, and let's start with the skull. So I know working with cream isn't traditionally what you'd want to work with, but trust me, I used this in my prototypes when I was putting this apron together, and the cream and brown look really nice together. So what we're going to do is with the color that you determine to use for your skull, we're going to start with a magic circle. I like to start my magic circles very, very easily. I just act like I'm going to make a knot. And I make it so that the knot is on top right here. Grabbing my hook, placing it into the knot, I grab the yarn and pull it through the knot. Then I twist the knot and give it just one chain that locks everything into place. Let me show you an alternate way to start this pattern in case you don't like using the magic circle. You can go ahead and start with a slip knot and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then, counting these 3 here as your first double crochet, you can just go ahead and start single crocheting into your very first chain. Your chain then becomes the ring. So let me put a few of them in here and show you how that looks. So you've got a nice little ring here to work in here in this first chain. Just make sure you leave yourself a really nice long tail so that your work does not come undone. However, I'm going to start with the magic circle. This is just an alternate way for you to start if you like. So I'm back with my magic circle and I chained 1 to secure my magic circle. I'm going to chain 2 more. 1, 2. I'm going to count these 2 chain as my first double crochet of this round. We want a total of 9 double crochet to start with, so I need 8 more. So in our ring here, we're going to place 8 double crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So counting our chain 2, we should have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is going to be the top part of our skull. Don't close your magic circle yet. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Working into our ring, place another double crochet. This creates our first eye socket. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet back into your magic circle. This creates the nose opening of your skull. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go to your first double crochet, these chains that counted as your double crochet, and place your hook into that stitch, making sure you get both the front loop and a back loop, and complete a single crochet. That closes your round and gets us started on round 2. Now you can grab the tail of your magic circle and give it a nice firm tug, and that closes the circle in the center there, and you can start seeing your skull coming together. Place another single crochet in the stitch where you joined. That's our second single crochet of this new round. We want a single crochet all the way across for a total of 9. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and right here is 9. That finishes off the very top of our skull. We're going to place 6 single crochet in this chain space. You don't need to slip stitch over to it, just place 6 single crochet. So right here in that chain space, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This creates the cheekbones and the side of our skull. Now we're going to work over here in the nose space. I want you to just slip stitch over into that space. Don't complete an actual stitch, just slip stitch. Chain 2, 1, 2. Now place 2 double crochet into that chain 3 space. So here's 1 double crochet, and here's 2 double crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2. Go right back down into your chain 3 space and complete another slip stitch. This creates the teeth of your skeleton, your skull. Now we're going to work over here in this chain 5 space here. We're going to go ahead and complete 6 single crochet in here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there is our skull. Now, we need to change colors here, but I don't want you to finish off and create a knot. That will affect how your end product looks. We're going to complete a different type of join than we usually do for our egg gathering aprons. I'm going to set this down and I'm going to grab our next color. So I have my second color here at the ready. Again, we're going to use brown for this part of the tutorial, simply because black is just too hard to see. We have our skull that we've been working on. I've cut our working yarn, the cream yarn, I've cut it and left a really long tail. To finish off what we're doing, we're going to find our very first single crochet of that last round and place our hook into that stitch, making sure we have both the front loop and the back loop. We're going to drop that cream and we're going to pick up the brown. We're going to do our color change this way, making sure we have a really long tail on that brown. Pull it through the stitch and pull it through the cream loop that's on your hook. Now don't pull it too tight. Don't turn your work over and tie it into a knot. Don't pull this too tight. We've got some work to do here, and if you do that, you're going to really limit your space and your work's going to kind of pucker here and you're not going to like it. We're going to chain 1. Kind of a loose chain. Don't make it too super tight. Then in the same stitch where we joined, place a double crochet. So here's 1 double crochet. Make sure when you're working this you don't accidentally pull that cream back through to the front. Chain 2, 1, 2. This is going to become a corner. And right back in that same space, we're going to place 2 more double crochet. This is why I don't want you to pull it tight. You need this room. There's 1, and here's 2. Now once you have those double crochets in there, if you want to, you can give that cream color just a little bit of a tug, give the brown a little bit of a tug, and eventually you're going to pull this all closed before we finish off our skull. We're going to move on now to working across the top of our skull here. In the next stitch, a double crochet. In the next 3 stitches, 1 half double crochet. So here's a half double crochet in this stitch, that's our first one. A half double crochet in the next stitch, there's that one. And a half double crochet in the next stitch, there's the last half double crochet at the top. Now you're going to be tempted to say, oh, I think I'm going to just maybe go through the back loops and see if that gives me a different look. I've tried it. I've tried it many different ways designing this pattern for you. Trust me, going through both the front loop and the back loop is the way to go. So I'll save you that experimentation. It didn't work. I didn't like it. I think this is a much better look, even with all of these little creamy points here. It's okay. In our next stitch, a double crochet. In our next stitch, we're going to create another corner. So 2 double crochet, there's 1, and there's 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet in that same stitch. 1, and 2. So we've completed our second corner. So we're taking our skull and now turning it into our square. We're going to place a double crochet in our next stitch right here. And then as we work along the cheekbone here of our skull, we're going to place a half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So here's our first half double crochet. There's 1. There's 2, 3, and 4. We're ready for our next corner right here. So 2 double crochet in our very next stitch. Here's 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet in that same stitch. 1 and 2. This creates our third corner. We're going to double crochet in this very next stitch here. Now right here is a slip stitch. Don't crochet in that slip stitch. We're going to start working in the teeth now. Here at the bottom of our skull, we're going to find this very first stitch right here, and we're going to single crochet into it, making sure we get the front loop and the back loop. There's 1 single crochet. Going to the very next stitch, again going through both the front loop and the back loop, a single crochet. Then we have these 2 chains that came down to finish off the teeth. We're going to find the very first chain right there. This can be a little tricky. Get the first loop on there, get the back loop on there. Sometimes it's tricky with a chain, and complete another single crochet. You just have to be very ginger about how you pull your hook through. And there we've connected with the teeth. Now we've got this slip stitch here. We're going to work in this slip stitch on this side. A double crochet in that stitch right there. Now we're ready for our next corner. So in this very next stitch, 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 2, and in the same stitch 2 more double crochet. Here's 1 and here's 2. It is a wickedly winter day out today. Can you hear the wind blowing through my windows? Wow, we have a storm coming in. Perfect day for crocheting something for our wicked chickens that lay deviled eggs. Now we're going to complete 4 half double crochet. So in the very next stitch here, a half double crochet. In the very next stitch, a half double crochet. In the very next stitch, a half double crochet. One more time in the very next stitch, a half double crochet. Now since we have this corner here and we have 2 double crochet here, our chain 2, we've only got 1 double crochet here. We need to work back where we joined and get 1 more double crochet in there to finish off the round. Right here where this join is, just go ahead, place a double crochet under that loop where you joined, and then slip stitch to the top of your first double crochet, making sure you get the front loop and the back loop on there. Now, when you pull on the cream color in the back, give it a nice firm tug. It's going to tuck under. You're not going to see the cream color, and you've got a really nice finished looking skull. Let's move on to round 4. And again, you don't have to tie these in knots until you're done. So just let those sit back there. Any work we do from now on is not going to affect that color join. We'll address it in a moment. Moving on to round 4, we're going to slip stitch into this chain 2 space here and chain 2 loosely. I like using a chain 2 as opposed to a chain 3 when I use chains as a double crochet. Find when you chain 3 it puckers a little bit, so we're just going to do chain 2. We're going to double crochet back into our chain 2 space of our prior round and chain 2. 2 more double crochet right back into that chain 2 space, completing our corner. Now we want to place 1 double crochet in each stitch across. There will be 8 of them. So here's 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this will be the top of our egg pocket right here. Complete another corner in your chain 2 space of 2 double crochet. 1, 2, chain 2, and place 2 more double crochet into that corner space. 1 and 2. Now complete 8 double crochet across the side of your skull to your next corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to work another corner here and then complete 8 double crochet across the bottom of our skull, a corner here, and then 8 across here. And I will meet up with you when we're ready to join and finish off this square. When you get to this last side, you might have to push your corner over a little bit and work into this loop here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then right here where we joined, go into that join down here. It's a little tough. You kind of have to work to get your hook through there, but you can do it. And there's 8. Then find those chain 2 that we used as our first double crochet, slip stitch into the top of that, pull your yarn through, and you can finish off here if you like. I like to slip stitch over into the corner to finish off. So I slip stitch to the corner, chain 2. That's how I really recommend finishing off your work, is with a chain 2. Cut your yarn, leaving yourself a really nice long tail. Pull your yarn through, pinch those chain 2, and then give your yarn a really nice firm tug, and that will cinch a knot up against your work. Not going to come undone, I promise. Let's turn this over and secure our ends real quick. When securing your tail where you first started, make sure you give this a really nice firm snug. Close up that little hole there, and then work your yarn back and forth through these stitches 3 times. When you're working here with your color join, I like to go ahead and just give this a nice firm double knot without pulling too hard, because you don't want it to distort the front of your skull. You want this to look nice. So there's 1, and here's 2. If you want to, you can put a little bit of no fray on here, then sew in your ends, just to ensure that your skull won't come undone. And then you've got your tail here. I just like to work this down and then work into the very back of these stitches, going back and forth 3 times to secure your ends. Okay, we're done with the front of our pocket for our egg apron with our skull and our brown edging, which you can do brown or edge. You can do any color you want. Orange, red, doesn't matter. Let's move on to our pocket back. For our pocket back, you can choose any color that you like. I'm choosing red. We're going to start with a magic circle, leaving a nice long tail to work with later. Getting that on our hook here, pulling that through and flipping that knot. Now again, you can start any way that you like. I just like the look of the magic circle. If you want to, you can chain 4, slip stitch to form a ring and work in the ring. So to begin round 1, we're going to chain 2 loosely. Again, I like to use that as my first double crochet. We want 12 double crochet in our ring, so we need 11 more. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, and 11. So we have 1 chain 2 here that counts as a double crochet, and then 11 more. So in total we have 12 double crochet. We can pull that ring close a little bit, go to the top of our chain 2 here, going through 2 loops, and make sure that you've got that and just slip stitch that closed. And that is the end of round 1 for the back of our pocket. Let's move on to round 2. Round 2 is going to be an increase round. We're going to chain 2, which is going to be our first double crochet, and right here in the same place where we joined, we're placing another double crochet. So we're going to have 2 double crochets in each stitch around. That will be a total of 24. Let's move on to our next stitch right here. No chains in between. You just want double crochets all the way around, 2 per stitch. So that's 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to continue placing 2 double crochet all the way around until we meet up here to put our last 2 stitches in and close this round. I'll see you there. We're here at the end of our round. I just completed double crochet number 22. Right here in this very next little space here that almost doesn't look like a stitch, but it is, we're going to place number 23 and number 24. We're going to locate the top of that chain 2, place our hook in there, getting 2 loops on our hook, and pull through, closing that round with a slip stitch. Tug that closed a little bit. You'll see you get a really nice round center here when you use that magic circle. Okay, let's move on to round 3. For round 3, we're going to start with a chain 2 that counts as our first double crochet. In this same spot where the join is, we're going to go ahead and place another double crochet. This is going to be the back side of one of our corners that will be over here. Across here now, in the next 4 stitches, 1 double crochet. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Always make sure you go through both the front loop and the back loop on those. In our very next stitch right here, we're going to place 2 double crochet. Here's 1, and here's 2. Now we're going to create a corner, but don't get ahead of me because we're changing things up a little bit. It's not like your traditional corner. Chain 2. Go to the next stitch, not in the same stitch, in the next stitch, and place 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. So we've turned the corner, we've made a corner, but we're using 2 stitches to do it. It just helps with the count. If you don't do that, your count's going to be off. You're going to get frustrated. Trust me on this, trust the process. Divvy it up between those 2 stitches. Working down the next side of our square, circle to square, we're going to place a double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. In our next stitch, 2 double crochet, and chain 2. In our next stitch, not the same stitch, the next stitch, 2 double crochet. Don't make the mistake, I've done it, and then I have to frog my work, so make sure you go to the next stitch for those next 2 double crochet for your corners. In the next 4 stitches, here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the next stitch, 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. 2 chain. In the very next stitch, 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Now across each of the next 4 stitches, a double crochet just like before. So here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've got one more stitch right here, this little spot where we joined that doesn't look like a stitch, but it is, just before the join. We're going to place 2 double crochet in there. There's 1, now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to go to the top of that chain 2 that we're counting as a double crochet and slip stitch that close. That creates our next corner. Don't slip stitch over to anything. We're going to start round 4 right from where we are. So for round 4, we're going to chain 2. That counts as a double crochet right here in this stitch right here. We're going to place another double crochet into that stitch. That's 2. We want 8 double crochets across. We had to double up here because of how the join is. Place a double crochet in each double crochet across for a total of 8. There's 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness, that wind. 6, 7, and 8. We're here to our corner, and now we're going to work that traditional corner that you're used to. 2 double crochet in that chain 2 space of your corner, chain 2, 2 double crochet right back into that chain 2 space of the corner, 1 and 2. And here we have our corner. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet across all of our double crochets here. When you work these last 2, they kind of cover your very first stitch right here. So just give that a little push to the side and start in your very first stitch here with a double crochet. We want 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Work your corner here in this chain 2 space, 2 double crochet, chain 2, in that same chain 2 space here, 2 double crochet. Don't forget to push your work over a little bit to find this very first stitch here. Complete 8 double crochet across to the next corner. Work your traditional corner here of 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And then on your last side here, work your 8 double crochet, and then we'll work on our corner. I'll meet up with you here. And 8 here on our last side. I'm going to place our corner into our chain 2 space. Here's 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Don't forget this part. I always forget it, and I have to frog and go back. Make sure you have all of the stitches you need in your corner before you finish off. Cannot tell you how many times I've done that. Find your chain 2, the very top of it there. Slip through that top chain and slip stitch closed. And then you're going to be ready to finish off. Chain 2, cut yourself a nice long tail, pull your yarn through, double check your work before you finish off, because once you cinch that knot tight, it's hard to get it undone. Trust me on that one. Okay, so I have all of my corners done appropriately. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead, pinch the top of these chain 2, give this yarn a nice tug, and cinch that knot right down to our work. Now let's sew in our ends and see how our 2 pieces look together when they make a pocket. Okay, we have our pocket front, our pocket back for our apron. This is one of the reasons I chose red for this project. Look at how the red shines through the eyes. I love it. Okay, let's move on to creating our waistband for this apron. In order to get a nice, clean look for your apron, I highly suggest making the waistband out of the color that you're going to be joining your pocket squares together, and whatever colors on the back of your aprons. You have a nice, aesthetically pleasing, continuous flow of color that would look nice. So I'm going to go ahead and make my apron waistband out of the red. We're going to start our apron waistband with a slip knot. Go ahead and place that knot onto your hook and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch into your very first chain, grab your yarn and pull it through the loop that's on your hook, and this is going to create a little ring. You're going to work in this ring. Make sure that your future stitches are not worked in the stitch, in the chain that you pulled through. Don't work here. You want to work in the ring. We're going to go ahead and chain a loose 2. Remember, that counts as a double crochet. In the ring, we're going to place 2 more double crochet. Here's 1, and here's 2. And you can push your work to the side so you can really see the definition of that ring now. Chain 2. Back into the ring, 3 double crochet. And you can work over your tail if it gets in your way. Here's 1. The first row of this is always a little bit cumbersome. There's 2. And here's 3. We are not making a granny square. Don't keep going around. Don't get ahead of me. So here we have our ring, and we have this fan, this shell. This is actually going to be one of the ends of our apron waistband. Let's move on to row 2 of this. This is going to be done in rows, not rounds. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. Now we have the chain 2 space up here at the top. We're going to work in this chain 2 space, not the ring, the chain 2 space. Place 3 double crochet in that chain 2 space. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and working in that same chain 2 space, 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Don't get ahead of me. Don't turn your work yet. We have a space here on this side of our shells. We need a chain space over here on this side of our shells. So we're going to locate this first chain 2 up that we did that counts as a double crochet, and we're going to double crochet in that chain right here. So yarn over and just see if you can get 2 loops on the top of that chain that counts as double crochet and complete a double crochet. That creates that little chain space that we need right there. Chain 3, and let's move on to round 3. Turning our work so that our chain 2 space is up at the top. We've got our starting ring down here, and we've got our little chain 2 spaces that we're working in as they ladder up. We're going to go back into our chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, right back in that chain 2 space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochet right here. Go to your 3rd double crochet. It's not a starting chain anymore, it's a double crochet. Go to that very last double crochet of this part of the shell and place a double crochet in that stitch, closing off this row. Chain 3 and turn. So here we have row 1, row 2, row 3 of our waistband. You want 35 rows. I'm going to go ahead and finish the remaining rows for our waistband, and I'll meet up with you on the last row. I'm just now finishing up row 35 of our waistband. I've got our last shell going in here, skipping our first 2 double crochet and placing a double crochet in the very last one here. There we go. And now all you need to do is just finish off. Again, I like to chain 2, cut your yarn, leaving a nice long tail. Pull your yarn through, pinch those chains, and give that a nice firm tug, cinching that knot up against your work. We've completed our pocket fronts, our pocket backs, and our waistband. Those are our 3 main elements of our apron. Now don't worry that this waistband won't fit all the way around your waist. We're going to add ties after we put our entire apron together. But before we can put our apron together, we need to do just a little bit of prep work so that everything goes smoothly. Let's move our squares out of the way there. And I'd like for you to take your waistband and lay that down in front of you, not counting the chain 2 or the ring at the end of your waistband. I'd like for you to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain spaces. Go ahead and note where that is and grab one of your stitch markers and mark that location. Fold that up and set that aside. Now let's discuss our pocket front and our pocket back. Take a good look at your work and determine the right side from the wrong side so you can marry these up correctly so your apron will look its best. Turn your work over and look at it. You can see where this knot is. You know that this is the back of your work, and we know that this is the front. Taking a look at the back of your pocket, this has very nice, neat, clean stitches where we did our rounds. If you turn this over, you'll notice there are a lot of ridges and bumps This is the back of your square. You want to make sure that you have the back of this square and the back of this square, your pocket front, pocket back. Marry them together, wrong sides together. You want the correct sides facing out. This is where your stitch markers are going to come in handy. If you feel that you don't need stitch markers, that is quite all right. You don't need to use them. However, I am going to go ahead and put this first pocket together with some stitch markers for those who may need them and would feel more comfortable. We're going to start here at a corner, and we're going to use a stitch marker just to go through the chain 2 spaces of both the front and the back pocket. I'm going to do the same thing at this corner down here. Now along the first side of our pocket here, we should have 12 stitches total for both the front pocket and the back pocket. We don't have chain 1 spaces like we would in a granny square, so we need to note where we need to place our stitches when we're joining our pockets. I've grabbed 3 little stitch markers here so we can mark off the first side here. You're going to want to count over 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. You're going to place your stitch marker in between the 3rd and the 4th stitch. Now remember, this is black, it's hard to see. 1, 2, 3. There's our 3rd, this is our 4th. In between there, right there, we're going to place a stitch marker. Don't close it yet, you're not done. Because on the back, we also want to count over 3. Here's our corner. We have our 2 in the corner and our 3rd. We're going to go ahead and place our stitch marker right there in between those. That marks that off. So we know that our join is going to be right here. Grabbing our next stitch marker, we're going to count over 3. 1, 2, 3. In between the 3rd and the 4th, that's where we want our stitch marker to go. Looking at the back here, we've got 1, 2, 3. We're going to place it right there. It's okay to turn your work over, look, make sure you've got it where you need it. We'll place our stitch marker there. So on this first side, we have our corners marked, and we have our stitches in between where we're going to work our join. Each space has 3 double crochet separating. Turn your work over, make sure it's even on the back as well. Here we have 3 stitches, 3 stitches, 3 stitches, and 3 stitches. Our joins will work in between those stitches where these stitch markers indicate. Now you can add these stitch markers all the way around your pocket if you feel that you need them. If you don't feel you need them, that's perfectly fine. I do want to discuss the top right here. I mentioned earlier when we were making our waistband that we'll be using these chain spaces in between our rows. This is where we're going to be connecting our pocket for our egg apron. When you're working your egg apron, you want to make sure you don't accidentally crochet your work closed. So you need to make sure that you know where you're going to put your stitches just in the back pocket. Right here in the corner, we're going to count over 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to place a stitch marker right there. Counting over 1, 2, 3. And place a stitch marker in between that stitch and the next one. And then counting over 1, 2, 3, placing a stitch marker here. This is a reminder to us that we're only going to be working in the very back. Everything is separated by 3 double crochet. The front will be left open, and this is where our eggs will go. So go ahead and mark your first pocket, and we'll move on to assembling our apron. I've marked this first square, and I don't want this to intimidate you. You don't need to do this for every square. It's just until you become familiar with where your stitches need to go. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first time I've assembled one of my aprons with all of these stitch markers, so we're going to see how it goes. So I've got my first pocket here, and I have my waistband with the stitch marked where we're going to eventually connect this pocket to the waistband. And just set this up here just a little bit. We don't quite need it yet. I'm going to create a slip knot and place that on my hook. And I'm going to go down here to this lower corner of my skull pocket here. Pick that up and turn it to an angle so it's easy to work. In this corner, we're going to start our join with a standing single crochet. So with our loop already on our hook, we're going to put our hook through the chain 2 spaces of both pocket front and pocket back. We're going to grab our yarn and pull it back through. We have 2 loops on our hook, and we're going to go ahead and finish a single crochet. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Every single corner of our pockets will always have a single crochet, a chain sequence, and a single crochet. Having said that, I know we need to put a second single crochet in this corner. Going through both pockets, grabbing our yarn, and completing that single crochet. Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to leave my stitch markers in there. I can take those out later. Going to my next stitch marker here, I'm going to go to the space here in between these double crochets and place my hook through. Double check the back, make sure you haven't gone through a portion of a stitch. I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it back through, working where I'm not being caught up in this stitch marker. And I'm going to complete a single crochet. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to my next stitch marker, going through the front pocket where indicated and the back pocket, making sure that I'm not catching any of the stitch. I just want to be in the space, completing the single crochet. Continue this until you reach this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And complete a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're over here to the corner now. Single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Since this is a corner, we need 2 single crochet right there. And now we're working up the second side of our pocket. I'm going to meet up with you up here at this corner because this is where we will attach to our waistband, and things change up just a little bit. So I'll meet up with you right here. Okay, I'm up here to this top corner. We're going to go ahead into this corner that we have marked, and we're just going to place our first single crochet right there. Now we've been doing a chain 4 sequence all along. When we do any type of join, we need to break the sequence in half and then join to our work. So we're going to chain 2. That's half of what we're doing. We're going to remove our hook and go to our waistband where we marked this space right here. We're going to place our hook from the top to the bottom into that space and grab that loop that we just dropped off of our hook, and we're going to pull it through. We're just pulling it through. We're not doing any stitches. We're not doing a slip stitch. We're not wrapping the yarn around. We're just pulling it through. So now this corner is attached to our waistband. Since we always do a chain 4, we've done 2. Here's 3 and here's 4. Going back to our pocket, we are at a corner. We need to have another single crochet. So I'm going to go right back to that corner and complete my second single crochet. And I know things are a little bit messy with all of these stitch markers, but I think you'll find that they helped you. Keep in mind too, you don't have to use fancy plastic ones. You can just use pieces of yarn if you like. Now let's join the top of our pocket to the bottom of our waistband. Since we're joining, we're going to be dividing our chains in half again. We just completed a single crochet here in the corner. So instead of chain 4, we're going to chain 2. We're going to remove our hook. And we're going to find the very next chain space on our waistband. We're going to go from the front to the back. We're going to pick that loop back up that we dropped, and we're going to pull it through the waistband. And then we're going to finish our chain 3 and our chain 4. We're going to go to our next stitch marker, which again we're working at the top of our pocket, so we're only working on the back part of our pocket so we don't accidentally close our pocket. We're going to go here and we're going to complete a single crochet. So there's our single crochet. We're going to go right back into our chain sequence. Chain 1, chain 2. Before we can finish it, we need to find the next chain space right here on our waistband. Pick that loop back up that we dropped. We're going to pull it through that space, completing chain 3 and chain 4. Going to our next stitch marker across the top of the back of our pocket, a single crochet. Chain 1, chain 2, remove your hook, find the next available chain space on your waistband, go from the front to the back, pick that loop back up, and pull it through. Sometimes you feel like you need 6 hands. Chain 2, 1 and 2. You'll get your own technique as you do this. Go to the next marked space, complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Don't get ahead of me and go to the corner yet because things will change up at the corner. Don't get ahead of me. We're going to find the very next chain space here on our waistband, pick up the loop that we dropped and pull it through, completing our chain 3 and our chain 4. Our very next space that we have marked here on our pocket is indeed our very last corner. We're going to place our first single crochet in the corner. There we go. And we're going to chain our chain 1 and our chain 2. Now let's discuss what we're going to do next because it changes. If we go to the very next available chain space and complete our pocket and then finish, it's perfectly fine. But when we join up the side of this pocket 1 with pocket 2 and we go to join our waistband, if we do it right here, we're going to have a big gap here in the center. We don't want a big gap. If we do it crisscross, like I'm going to show you now, you'll have a beautiful design here. It's really neat. So I'm going to skip this space right here, and I'm going to place my hook in the next space after that and go from the front to the back. I'm going to grab that loop that I dropped earlier, put that back on my hook, and I'm going to pull that through that space right there. And I'm going to complete my chain sequence of 3 and 4. Going back to my pocket, I only have 1 single crochet completed here. I need 1 more single crochet. There we go. Look at that. Now, since I'm not joining anymore and I'm working along the side here, I'm going to go back to chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to my next stitch marker and completing a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go to my next stitch marker and complete a single crochet. Do you see how easy it is with the stitch markers? 2, 3, 4. Now if you don't want to use the stitch markers, you can just kind of push in with your back finger and your thumb to kind of find where those stitches need to go and put your hook through. But I like that the stitch markers really work nicely. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the last time, and we're back here at the corner. Now what I'd like you to do is just kind of turn your work over just a little bit and find where that standing single crochet is. Just kind of put your hook through there, slip that through, at least 2 loops, and pull back to the front, slip through the loop that's on your hook, and now you've joined, you've finished this round of your join. You can chain 2 because we're going to finish off, and cut yourself a nice long tail, okay? You can go ahead and pull your yarn through, but don't pull this knot tight yet, because what you need to do is you need to look at your work and make sure that everything is joined appropriately. Make sure that in between all of these marks here, you've got a chain 4 with single crochets. Make sure that at every corner you have a single crochet, chain, and a single crochet. Every single corner. And then up here at the top of your join, look at that pretty braid that it's making. Make sure that you've joined appropriately and you have your single crochets and that you didn't accidentally miss any stitches. Except for this one right here, because we're going to get that one in our next pocket. I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch markers, and then let's take a look at this and see how it looks. Okay, that looks awesome. Our first pocket has been joined to our waistband. We've got all of these really great joins all the way around the edges. We have little, let me move this up a little bit. We have little loops right here on the corners. Our subsequent pockets will be joining in these corners when we're not joining to the waistband anymore. And then all of these on the sides are going to be either your outer edging or they're going to join to your next pocket. So it's really pretty cool. We didn't sew the top of our pocket closed, so we have a place to stick our eggs. You know, I have found that I even have room for 2 eggs per pocket with my aprons. And once those eggs are all the way down in there, they're not going to fall out. You can complete your chores, you can bend over, pick something up off the ground, and they're not going to fall out. You might crush them if you're not careful, but they will not fall out of these pockets. Let's move on to pocket 2 right here. Okay, let's get pocket 2 joined to our waistband and up the side of pocket 1. So let's see if we can add pocket 2 without the use of the stitch markers. I've put them aside, I don't have them for this one. We're going to start again with a slip knot. Get that onto our hook. My pocket pieces are put together, wrong sides together. I'm going to start not at this top corner, but at this bottom corner here. Going to locate my chain 2 spaces for both pieces and place my hook through both chain 2 spaces. Grab my yarn and pull it back through. I have 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over and pull through. That's my standing single crochet that I'm going to start this join with. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't jump too far ahead on this one because we're going to join to the pocket over here. Don't go around the way you did with our first one. You've got to trust the process here because we're going to join in a second. Since we're working in a corner, we have to have 2 single crochet. Putting our second single crochet there in the corner, and that creates our first little loop for our corner here. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to count over 1, 2, 3 and place our hook in between the 3rd and the 4th. Double crochet. Looking at the back here, 1, 2, 3, we're going to place our hook right there. Okay, and now we can complete that first single crochet along the bottom of our pocket. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, go in between the 3rd and the 4th. Going to the back, skipping 1, 2, 3, in between the 3rd and the 4th, completing a single crochet. Look back there every once in a while, make sure that you've really skipped 3. So far, so good. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skipping 3 double crochet and going in between the 3rd and the 4th. Skipping 1, 2, 3 double crochet, going in between the 3rd and the 4th back there, completing a single crochet. Chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're at the corners again, so we're going to go through both pockets again with a single crochet, and now we're going to join pocket 2 to pocket 1. So when we join, remember we take that chain 4 sequence and we break it in half. 1, 2. We're going to remove our hook. We're going to go here to pocket 1, and right here at this corner we've got the single crochet, chain 4, single crochet. We're going to enter that loop that we made with our crochet hook. We're going to pick up the loop that we dropped. We're going to pull it through pocket 1 corner right there and complete our chain sequence 3 and 4. We're going back to pocket 2 that we're working on. Since we're working in a corner, we have to finish that second single crochet. Pocket 2 is now joined to pocket 1. I'm going to rotate my work a little bit here so it's easy to work up along the side. Now that my corner is secured, I'm going to chain 4, but I have to break it in half. 1, 2, remove my hook, finding the next chain 4 space that we made here on the edge of pocket 1. We're going to place our hook from the front to the back, and we're going to pick up that loop that we dropped off of our hook, and we're going to pull it through, completing our chain sequence 3 and 4. Going back to the pocket we're working on, we have to determine where we're going to place our next single crochet. Skip 1, 2, 3, go in between 3 and 4 right there, Looking at the one in the back here, 1, 2, 3, placing our hook right there and completing a single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook. Going up the side of pocket 1, find that next chain space that we worked. Put the loop back on your hook and pull it through. 3 and 4. See, it's easy. Skip 1, 2, 3. In between the next one. Skip 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Place your hook right there and complete a single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook. Find the next loop space here on the side of pocket 1. Put the loop that you dropped back on your hook and pull it through and complete your chain sequence of 3, 4. See how fast this goes once you get the hang of it? Skip 1, 2, 3. Place your hook in between that stitch there. Going to the back one, 1, 2, 3, and place your hook there. Complete your single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook, find the next chain 4 sequence there, put your loop back on and pull it through, and complete your chain sequence of 3 and 4. Now we're at the corner, a top corner. We're going to go through both of our pockets still and complete a single crochet, chain 2, and now we're going to attach to the waistband. But remember, we're not going to go here. We're not even going to go here. We're going to go back and find that skipped space right here. And we're going to place our hook in from the top to the bottom. We're going to go underneath all these stitches that we worked. Go underneath everything. Grab that loop and put it back on your hook and pull it under and back up through the top right there. Give yourself a little bit of tension and complete chain 3 and chain 4. Going back to the corner of pocket 2, a single crochet in the corner. Chain 2, and now we're going to be working along the top of our waistband, just as we did before. So we've chained 2 and we've removed our hook. You have to find the next available chain space in your waistband. We just joined over here. Here's our next chain space, but it's not available because pocket 1 is attached to it. So we're going to go to this chain space right here, grab that loop that we dropped off of our hook, and we're going to pull it up through the waistband. Give yourself a little tension and complete 3 and 4. Now we're working across the top of our pocket. We're not going to work in the front part of our pocket. We're only going to work in the back part because remember, we don't want to crochet our egg apron closed. Going to the back, we're going to skip 1, 2, and 3. Go in between the 3rd and the 4th one there and complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Remove your hook. Go back to your waistband now and go to the next available chain space right here. Place the loop back on your hook and pull it up through your waistband and complete chain 3 and 4. Going back to the pocket you're working on, you're going to skip 1, 2, 3 and place your hook right there and complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Remove your hook and locate the next chain space on your waistband. Put that loop back on your hook and pull it up through the waistband. Complete chain 3 and 4. Going back to your pocket, skip 1, 2, 3. Single crochet in the next space there. Chain 2. Go to your waistband and find your next available chain space. Load that back onto your hook and pull it through. Complete chain 3, chain 4. Now we're back to the corner. We need to make sure we go through both the front and the back again for our pocket. So we're going to complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Now we're going to be putting 4 pockets in this row. So we know we have to crisscross here again. Let's discuss the crisscross. Let's go back and look. Look at that. Look how pretty that is in the center there. Look at the braid, the zigzag here between your pockets. This is awesome. So we're going to go here back to the pocket we're working on. We're working on pocket 2. We've single crocheted in the corner, chain 2. Now we need to find out where we're going to go on our waistband. This is our next available chain space, but we don't want that one. We want to skip it and go to the next one so we can complete our crisscross. We're going to go from front to back, grab our yarn that we dropped off of our hook, pull it through, and we're going to complete our chain sequence of 3 and 4. Now we're going to go back to the corner of pocket 2 that we're working on, complete that second single crochet, because remember, in the corners we always have 2 single crochet, always. Now we're working down the side of this pocket. We don't need to join to anything right now, so we're going to go back to our chain 4 sequence. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3 and place our hook right there. Looking on the back here, skip 1, 2, 3 and place our hook right there, and complete a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skipping 3, 1, 2, 3, placing our hook in between there. Going to the back pocket here. Things get a little tight as our pocket comes together. Skip 1, 2, 3, place it right there. It starts coming together really. You'll get the feel for where your stitches go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip 1, 2, 3, place right there. And I bet you it's going to be right there. Look at that. It went right where it needed to go. After a while, you'll get a feel for where everything needs to go. So I would recommend use the stitch markers if you need them, but the more you work with this, the more you're going to get a feel for where your stitches go, and you're not going to need them. 2, 3, and 4. We're right here where we started this join. Going to go right here to the back of our standing single crochet and go through 2 loops and pull our yarn through and pull through the loop that's on our hook, completing this join round with a slip stitch, chain 2, because we're going to finish off. And once again, every single time, leave yourself a nice long tail and pull it through. Don't close off yet. Don't finish off yet. Don't pull it through. Look at your work. Make sure that every single corner has your single crochet, chain, single crochet. That one's good. Same here, single crochet. We looped through and we single crocheted. Down here we have our loop. Up here we have our loop. Across the top we've got a beautiful join to our waistband, and we did not crochet our pocket closed. So we've got pockets 1 and pockets 2 successfully joined to our waistband. I'm going to go ahead and continue joining pocket 3, and I'm going to join pocket 4. One note for when you join pocket 4. When you get to the end here, when you're joining the very top of your pocket, you don't have to skip one because you're not joining anything over here. You can just do your next available chain space in your apron. Then you should have 5 chain spaces left over, because you have 5 here on this end, you'll have 5 here on this end, and those will be row 1, your first 4 pockets. I'm going to finish my first 4 pockets, and I'll join you when we're getting ready to add pocket 5 right here at this corner. So I will see you there. So I have finished 1, 2, 3, 4 of my skeleton pockets here across row 1 for our egg apron. I wanted to point out a couple things before we move on to row 2. First of all, right here in the corner, I want you to notice that we went straight up to connect here to our waistband. We didn't have to crisscross anymore because we're not adding another pocket here. And then look at here, I really wanted to show you just how beautiful it is where the corners come together. Look at that, it almost looks like a spider web, doesn't it? It's so pretty. And I just really love the zigzag patterns in between our blocks. Also, turn your work over and you'll see that we just have a solid color here on the back. Take a moment to find your ties here from your join. I like to give them a double knot, nice and firm. And then I will sew these back into my work. So you could either do this at the end of your project or you can do it at the end of every row. They do kind of tend to get in the way though. But this is why I like to leave the tails nice and long so you can sew them in so you never have to worry about your work coming undone. I'm working on pocket 5 and I've reached the corner here at the top of our pocket where we're going to be joining it now as the beginning of row 2. I have pocket 1 right here. All of the loops that we made here along the bottom of our last row of pockets, this is where we're going to be joining the next row of pockets, much like we did up on the waistband. So I have pocket number 5 here. I've made it to the corner. I've single crocheted. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. I'm going to remove my hook and I'm going to place it from front to back into this little corner loop right here. Place that dropped loop back onto my hook and pull it through that little corner, and I'm going to complete my series of 3, 4 chains. Going back to pocket 5 that I'm working on, I'm going to finish that second single crochet in the corner. Now, just as before, I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to remove my hook, and right here is the next loop that we're going to thread our yarn through, braiding it. Chain 3, 4. Coming back down to our pocket, we're only working in the back now, skipping 1, 2, 3, and single crocheting in between that 3rd and 4th double crochet. Chaining 2, removing our hook. It's just like when we worked on the waistband. Just braiding our chains along as we go. Skipping 1, 2, 3, going right here. A single crochet, chain 2, removing our hook, going through the chain 4 braid and completing our chain 3, 4. It goes so quickly once you get the hang of the rhythm. Right here now into the back of our pocket with a single crochet, chain 2, and into that next chain 4 space of pocket 1, completing chain 3 and 4. Now we're to the corner, and we always want to make sure we go through both pockets at the corners. So a single crochet, chain 2. This is why I've had you follow me all the way across this. Now that we're here, we need to join this corner, catty corner, to pocket 2. So locating where we did the single crochet, the chain 4, and the single crochet where we looped it right here, we want this loop right here in this pocket, placing our hook in from the top to the back, grabbing that loop that we dropped, feeding it back up through, and completing our chain sequence of chain 3 and chain 4, then back to our pocket to complete our second single crochet. And now we've successfully joined our 5th pocket to our 1st pocket, and then right here at the corner. I'm going to continue on with pocket 5, and then I'm going to come back when it's time to join pocket 6 here at the corner, just because I want to work this corner with you. So I will see you there. I'm here at pocket 6 at the corner, the very first corner of pocket 6. I've single crocheted and chained 2. Now it's time to join, and we're going to join catty corner again. We're going to join to pocket 1. Find where we made the loop right here. You want where we did the single crochet, the chain 4, and the single crochet in the corner. Don't go in the corner. Don't go into any of these random spots. Find where you made that specific loop right there. We're going to place our hook into that little loop and go underneath all of this work. All of these chains right here, go under it. Grab the loop that you drop off of your hook and pull it all the way through underneath all of that work, and with good tension, chain your 3 and 4. Going back to the pocket you're working on, pocket 6, complete that second single crochet in the corner. And now we've joined our corners successfully. I like to take a little crochet hook and just kind of adjust all of that work because you've got a lot there in that corner. And now you can see the little spider web starting to take shape there. I'm going to continue on with pocket 6, and then I'm going to do 7, and I'm going to do 8. When you're ready to do your 3rd row, just work it the same way that you've worked this 2nd row across. You'll have your 12 pockets and we'll be ready to move on to the apron ties. I'll meet up with you there. So we have all 3 rows joined here for our beautiful Wicked Chickens Lay Deviled Eggs apron. We have all of the ends tied into the back, and now we're ready to make the ties that will be added on our waistband. So I know some of you were fretting, thinking, oh my gosh, this waistband's too small, it will never go around me. Have faith, we're going to add ties, and the ties will make it so this will be a wonderful fit for anybody from maybe a medium to an extra large, maybe even a 2 extra large. You can always add more if you need to. In the written pattern that's on Etsy, there is a chart that will help you determine the size. So we're going to start here. I'm going to move this out of the way so we have a nice clean slate to work with here. So starting here at the end, this is the chain 2 space. The other end will have the ring that we started with. We're going to go ahead and we're just going to add our red yarn with a slip stitch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 59 and 60. So we have a chain of 60 for our ties for our waistband. Let's go ahead and start with row 1. Now we're going to be working in the bar of the chains as we work back towards the waistband. Let's discuss a little bit about chain anatomy here. On our chain we have these little V's or these little teardrops that you see, and we have a top one and we have a bottom one. We're not going to work in either of those. We're going to turn our chain over. And when you turn your chain over, you're going to see a bunch of little straight bumps across the back. That's the bar of the chain. We're going to be working in that bar. So we want to start in the second chain from the hook, not counting the loop that's on the hook. This is our first chain. This is our second chain. We're going to turn that chain over and locate the bar of that chain right there and slip our hook right into that very, very easily. Yarn over and pull through and complete a single crochet. Going to the very next bar right here, slipping our hook in underneath, pulling our yarn back through and completing a single crochet. Going to the next, completing a single crochet. Complete a single crochet in every bar along this chain series until you get back to the waistband, and I'll meet up with you there. I'm here to the end of row 2 of our ties for our waistband. We've been placing a single crochet in every stitch across. I'm here to the end and I have 1 stitch left. I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch as opposed to placing a single crochet. That gives us a nice little rounded edge to our tie. Go ahead and finish off. And do the exact same thing on the other end of your waistband so you'll have 2 ties. Then just sew in your ends and your apron is complete. Our apron is complete, our ties are done, and I do want to share with you with regards to these ties. When I was making this pattern for you, I tried different types of ties and waistbands. I came up with all types of configurations, and I have to be honest with you, this is the best one I found. It's not too thick, it's not too thin, it's still very sturdy, and it's adjustable. You can make the ties as long as you like. You still have this beautiful waistband, and the waistband remains the same. You just change the length of the ties depending on what you need for the size. So very, very fun little tie waistband here. And as you can see, it's not overly clunky, it's not too thick, it ties nicely, and you have plenty of tie to work with. Well, that's all from the craft room for now. It's time to go get this on the dress form. We'll take some fun pictures and we'll put them here at the end of the video. So until I see you again here on the farm, take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a blessed day, and come back for the next apron. There's more. Bye-bye.